Shanti, is my voice audible? You can let me know in the chat box. Start today's session first with a short guided meditation. So I request everyone कि आप कहीं पे जगह पे बैठ जाए, relaxed position, so that we can start with the meditation. Guys, a tiny star sparkling like a flawless diamond on the center of my forehead. I feel a sense of detachment from my physical body and physical surroundings. I become aware of the stillness within me and Om Shanti. So, yesterday we had started with chapter 2, and before we continue today with the chapter, let us discuss few minutes on the homework that was given yesterday in the group. So, I will repeat the question and you can share your answers in the chat box. So, the question was on a personal level, what can you do to increase your acceptance of the present moment? So, anybody who has worked on this can share their answers in the chat box and I can read it out to everyone. So, the question was on a personal level, what can you do to increase your acceptance of the present moment? Can everyone hear me? Okay. Okay. So maybe I can start by sharing some of the practices which I do, to focus, to increase my acceptance of the present moment. And post that, you can also share your inputs. Okay, we have someone who have raised their hand. So let me just unmute that person. Yeah. Dr. Neelam, I have requested you to unmute yourself.
A very good afternoon. Am I audible?
Yeah, your voice is clear.
A very good afternoon. So, what I perceive about the present moment, that this present moment is very beautiful. Each and every second, we should make use of this present moment. So, whatever that is happening with me is for my own benefit. Like I should learn lesson from it. It is all that is for my best. So I should learn lesson and move ahead. So I should learn to accept it because like I'm benefited in every single moment. So it's not like whatever that is happening is not to punish me. So that is not the intention of God or the circumstances or the situations. So this adverse circumstances or situations, they are coming to teach me a lesson, a beautiful lesson. Like I should not repeat the blunder that I committed in the past. So
Correct. Yeah. Very
yeah.
beautifully said. Even I myself practice this that whenever a situation comes, we have to tell ourselves that जो भी हो रहा है उसमें मेरा ही कल्याण है. Right? So that helps us to have a positive attitude towards the situation. And we should make a mantra in our life that जो भी पास्ट में हुआ वो अच्छा था, जो अभी हो रहा है वो बहुत बहुत अच्छा है, और आगे चल के जो भी होने वाला है वो भी बहुत 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 अच्छा होगा. तो जब we start thinking in this format, तो अगर अच्छा नहीं भी हो रहा है तो वो भी अच्छा हो जाएगा, क्योंकि इतना शक्ति हम सभी में है. तो कुछ लोगों का आंसर्स आया है चैट में, सो आई विल रीड दैट आउट. सो किरण BK Kiran is saying that I always try to remember myself. I'm not a body, not a relation. I am an observer. Then BK Anuradha is telling understanding others' sanskars and forgiveness. Correct? I accept my understanding deeply. Okay. So some of the other practices I'll share that I usually do. So one of them is charging the water and the food when we have it. So as you know, the human body is made up of 70% of water. So when we take a moment to charge the water before drinking, it has a lot of impact on the body because food and water affects the state of mind. So one line that we can practice is I am a powerful soul. I accept the present moment as it is. So if we take a glass of water, hold it before our eyes, and just repeat this statement 7 times and we have it, then it will bring a lot of benefit because I personally have benefited from that a lot. Then apart from that, spending time in nature is again very beneficial because it helps you to enjoy the present moment. When you are in nature, you can observe, you can focus your attention on your hearing, then you can hear the number of the birds that is chirping, the various sounds of the birds, then you can feel the wind, you can feel the grass on which you're walking, you can notice how the colors of the tree are the colors of the flowers. So all of that helps us to be in the present moment. And then when you are beginning a task, it is very important to give your mind the clear direction as to what it is required to do, right? So for now, we all have gathered here to read the book. So we can tell our mind very clearly that this 1 hour, all that you need to do is to focus, is to be here and read the book. And this is for my benefit. So when you give a clear direction to your mind knows what to do because you are the master of your mind. So being the master, you have to give the direction. Then, apart from that, you can also practice something that we all practice is traffic control. So we pause after every hour for a minute. We use that time to reframe our thoughts, to check our thoughts. If in the last 1 hour if there had been some thought which was of negative nature or wasteful nature, so we use that time to correct it, to stabilize in soul consciousness. So these are some of the ways that you can use to increase your acceptance of the present moment. Now we can start with today's lesson. So I will request our team member to start sharing the screen. Okay. So is the screen audible to everyone? Can everyone see the screen? Okay. Okay. So let me start reading it. So I'll read and I will explain, and then in the end, we will keep some time for questions. Okay. The pain body, which is the dark shadow cast by the ego, is actually afraid of the light of your consciousness. It is afraid of being found out. Its survival depends on your unconscious identification with it, as well as your unconscious fear of facing the pain that lives in you. So the pain body is associated with the ego. So what is the ego? The ego is the false image of yourself that you have created based on the body and the external things. So the body means anything related to the body like your name, your role, your position, and your relationships, your connections. So, the image that we create in our mind based on the body and body related things, which are the external things, is what we call as the ego, the false image. The pain body is therefore associated with the false image. So, the author is telling that the pain body is afraid of being found out, and its survival is only dependent on your unconscious identification with it, which means when you are not conscious of your thoughts, that is when the pain body can live within you, can live through you. But if you don't face it, if you don't bring the light of your consciousness into the pain, you will be forced to relieve it again and again. So, what does it mean? Many times in our lives, something unpleasant might have happened to us, right? We all had encountered at least one unpleasant situation in our life, but it always happens once. But the mind lives it multiple times. So that is what the author is telling, that if you don't face it, if you don't address it, then you will be forced to relieve it again and again. The pain body may seem to you like a dangerous monster that you cannot bear to look at, but I assure you that it is an insubstantial phantom that cannot prevail against the power of your presence. So sometimes people say that the pain is too much, that I don't want to face it. But the author says that if you don't face it, then you will never know the power of your presence, because the pain body may appear like a dangerous monster, but it cannot survive in the power of your presence. Many people in today's world, they tend to avoid it. They tend to cover up their pain with excessive shopping, with drinking, with smoking, with traveling, and so many other things. The world has a lot of options, right? But that is not healing, because until and unless you face it, you won't be able to heal. Some spiritual teachings state that all pain is ultimately an illusion, and this is true. So this is again a valid point. So what happens is, for example, let's take let's consider an example. Suppose you go to a shopkeeper to buy something, and let's say you buy a product and the price of it is 15 rupees, but the shopkeeper takes 20 rupees from you. And you realize that after coming home, right? So, what are the thoughts that the mind creates? The mind will think of all the times where you have been cheated, where people have taken you for granted. So, you see, it was a very small incident, but the mind magnifies it, right? So that is why he's telling that some spiritual teachings state that all pain is ultimately an illusion, because it is a very small incident that might happen, but the mind always magnifies and increases the pain. The question is it true for you? A mere belief does not make it. Do you want to experience pain for the rest of your life and keep saying that it is an illusion? Does that free you from the pain? What we are concerned with here is how you can realize this truth, that is, make it real in your own experience. So the pain body does not want you to observe it directly and see it for what it is. The moment you observe it, feel its energy field within you, and take your attention into it, the identification is broken. So when you start observing the thinker, then you can observe the energy of the thoughts that is running within you, and then you are no longer identified with it. The identification gets broken. A higher dimension of consciousness has come in. I call it presence. You are now the witness or the watcher of the pain body. This means that it cannot use you anymore. by pretending to be you, and it can no longer replenish itself through you. You have found your own innermost strength. You have accessed the power of now. So, when you are watching the pain body, when you are watching the negative emotions, the negative thoughts that is running in your mind, what you are doing is you are being a detached observer. So, those of you who practice spiritual study, there is a term that we use that is Sakshi Drishta, right? So when you observe your thoughts, then you are being detached from it, you are being the observer, and you are no longer associated with it. What happens to the pain body when we become conscious enough to break our identification with it? So, this is a question that the seeker is asking the author. Unconsciousness creates it, consciousness transmutes it into itself. Saint Paul expressed this universal principle beautifully. Everything is shown up by being exposed to the light, and whatever is exposed to the light itself becomes light. Just as you cannot fight the darkness, you cannot fight the pain body. So, your pain body is the darkness, whereas your consciousness is the light. So, you never fight the light. All you have to do is to shine in your consciousness, and the light will automatically remove the darkness. Trying to do so would create inner conflict and thus further pain. Watching it is enough. Watching it implies accepting it as part of what is at the moment. So, what does he mean by, if you can scroll a bit up? Yeah. So trying to do so would create inner conflict and thus further pain means when we start contemplating, when we start judging the thoughts, like why am I getting this feeling of anger? Why am I feeling so low? So when we go into this mode of thinking, then it will create a lot of inner conflict and we will feel more pain because at that moment we are just feeding the pain. We are not looking at it from a solution centric state of mind. That is why the author says that watching it is enough. There is no need for judging it. You simply need to watch it as a detached observer. The pain body consists of trapped life energy that has split off from your total energy field and has temporarily become autonomous through the unnatural process of mind identification. It has turned in on itself and become anti life like an animal trying to devour its own tail. Why do you think our civilization has become so life destructive? But even the life destructive forces are still life energy. So the pain body was initially a part of our total energy field, but due to the experiences that we have gone through in our life, a part of it has split into a negative energy field, which is the pain body. Now, this pain body acts in an autonomous way and it is self destructive in nature. It is always looking to cause harm to the self and also to others. When you start to disidentify and become the watcher, the pain body will continue to operate for a while and will try to trick you into identifying with it again, right? So when because you have been associated with the pain body, you cannot become free of it just like that because for a long time you were associated with this body. So the author is telling that when you take the first step of disidentifying from it, then the pain body will try various ways to trick you into identifying with it again. Although you are no longer energizing it through your identification, it has a certain momentum, just like a spinning wheel, that will keep turning for a while, even when it is no longer being propelled. So, the motion, the state of motion, anything that is put in motion does not come to stop immediately. Even when you stop it, it stops after going a certain distance. So the same is applicable for the pain body as well. At this stage, it may also create physical aches and pains in different parts of the body, but they won't last. So this the author is talking about the symptoms that will appear within the body when we try to disidentify from it, but we should not get scared because it will not last. Stay present, stay conscious. Be the ever alert guardian of your inner space. So, who is the guardian? You have to be the protector of your inner space. And all you need to do for that is to stay present, stay conscious, stay aware, be attentive towards your inner thinking, the thoughts that is going on. You have to be attentive because pain body, ego, nothing can exist in that space. You need to be present enough to be able to watch the pain body directly and feel its energy. It then cannot control your thinking. So you have to be detached and you have to feel the energy of the pain body. You don't have to judge it. Like people go to movie theaters to watch a movie, they're watching the movie as a observer, right? So the same way we have to sit and observe the thoughts that run in the screen of our mind without judging it. The moment your thinking is aligned with the energy field of the pain body, and or are identified with it and again feeding it with your thoughts. So the moment you forget that you are separate from your thoughts, you become identified with the pain body. The moment you start doubting yourself, the moment you start questioning yourself, you are acting through your pain body. So the author is telling that is why we need to know that we are not our thoughts. We need to understand that I am not my mind. I am not what the mind is telling me. For example, if anger is the predominant energy vibration of the pain body, and you think angry thoughts, dwelling on what someone did to you or what you are going to do to him or her, then you have become unconscious and the pain body has become you. So, we all have experienced anger in our life. So, the author is giving an example when we act from the emotion of anger, then we are acting through pain body. Then we have fallen unconscious, the pain body has taken us over and it has become us. When there is anger, there is always pain underneath. So we have to understand that all the negative emotions that exist in this world, they always arise from a place of pain. Or when a dark mood comes upon you and you start getting into a negative mind pattern and thinking how dreadful your life is, your thinking has become aligned with the pain body and you have become unconscious and vulnerable to the pain body's attack. Unconscious, the way I use the word here, means to be identified with some mental or emotional pattern. It implies a complete absence of the watcher, right? So, any time, so unconscious means not having zero attention, zero awareness of the thought. That is when the pain body can can become more prominent. We don't even realize that we are being run by the pain body because we become completely unconscious in that phase. Sustained conscious attention severs the link between the pain body and your thought processes and brings about the process of transmutation. So, sustained conscious attention means when you keep the attention, then you can break the link between your pain body and your thought processes, and that brings about transmutation. Transmutation means transformation. It is as if the pain becomes fuel for the flame of your consciousness, which then burns more brightly as a result. This is the esoteric meaning of the ancient art of alchemy. Esoteric means something that is understood by a small group of people with special knowledge. And what does alchemy means? Alchemy means it is an ancient form of chemistry which focuses on converting ordinary metals into gold. The transmutation of base metal into gold, of suffering into consciousness. The split within is healed and you become whole again. Your responsibility then is not to create further pain. So, with attention, we will be able to overcome the pain body, we will be able to heal from it. But then, what we have to do, we will need to make sure that we don't create further pain. Let me summarize the process. Focus attention on the feeling inside you. Know that it is the pain body, accept that it is there. So, any negative waste emotions thinking pattern is always emerging from the pain body. Never tell that it is you because that is who you are not. You are not your pain body. Your pain body was formed from a place of ignorance. It was formed because we forgot our true selves, but it is not you. Your original self still lies within you, and you need to today become aware of that original self and act from that basis. Don't think about it. Don't let the feeling turn into thinking. Don't judge or analyze. So you don't have to question it. You simply need to watch it. You don't have to associate yourself with it. Don't make an identity for yourself out of it. Many times we do that. Many times when we see, we compare ourselves perhaps with others, we say we are not good enough, and we make all these assumptions about ourselves, but none of that is true because each one of us has so much of power within us. But because we forget ourselves in that moment, that we forget our powers. Stay present and continue to be the observer of what is happening inside. So attention always has to be on the self. So when you have the attention, it is like taking the first step towards healing yourself. Become aware not only of the emotional pain, but also of the one who observes the silent watcher. This is the power of the now, the power of your own conscious presence. Then see what happens. When you become extremely conscious of your presence, then the pain body cannot exist. Any one thing can exist at one time, either your true self or the pain body. Most of the time, we are unconscious. That is where we are acting from a place of pain. But the moment we become aware, we are acting from a place of consciousness. When we do that, then pain will automatically disappear. You don't have to fight the darkness. The darkness cannot stay in your light. For many women, the pain body awakens particularly at the time preceding the menstrual flow. I will talk about this and the reason for it in more detail later. Right now, let me just say this. If you're able to stay alert and present at that time and watch whatever you feel within, rather than be taken over by it, affords an opportunity for the most powerful spiritual practice and a rapid transmutation of all past pain becomes possible. So, which spiritual practice is referring to? The practice of being a Sakshi Drishta, detached observer. So, it is a simple process, right? So, all we have to do is to watch. That is it. We have to disidentify from it, we have to watch it, and we can see how the pain vanishes. So experiment with it. That is what I will suggest. Experiment with it, and then you can see how much power you have. Ego identification with the pain body. The process that I have just described is profoundly powerful yet simple. It can be taught to a child, and hopefully one day it will be one of the first things children learn in school, which is very true. So, in today's world, children are taught a lot of things, but nobody is taught the art of right thinking. But if you see, thoughts are the foundation of your life. Thoughts are the edifice on which your entire life is built, right? So the author hopes that one day children will be taught these things in school. Once you have understood the basic principle of being present as the watcher of what happens inside you, and you understand it by experiencing it, you have at your disposal the most potent transformational tool. So, yeah, if you scroll down, this is not to deny that you may encounter intense inner resistance to disidentifying from your pain. So this is true. This is very true. This sometimes you will get mental storms, which will come at you with full force. But then you simply need to understand that it is the inner resistance that is coming because your ego does not want to collapse. Your ego wants to remain. The pain body wants to remain. That is why it will offer the resistance. This will be the case particularly if you have lived closely identified with your emotional pain body for most of your life and the whole or a large part of your sense of self is invested in it. What this means is that you have made an unhappy self out of your pain body and believe that this mind made fiction is who you are. So in today's world, many people say, okay, sadness is normal. Life is supposed to be sad. What that is what it is. So they are living out of the pain body. So when we try to detach from it, it is going to offer a lot of resistance. In that case, unconscious fear of losing your identity will create strong resistance to any disidentification. In other words, you would rather be in pain, be the pain body, than take a leap into the unknown and risk losing the familiar unhappy self. So many people don't want to step out of their pain. You can explain someone so many times, you can explain them uh, everything, but they don't want to because they are very deeply attached, because somewhere they have developed a familiar association with that past, with that pain, and that is why they don't want to step out of it because they are afraid of what the unfamiliar zone will hold. That is why they just want to stick with their pain body, even if that causes them pain. But what we need to do, we need to take a step of courage. We need to take that one decision that no, I am going to make myself better. I will not spend the rest of my life trying to get out of the pain body. If this applies to you, observe the resistance within yourself. So this resistance comes for everyone. It comes for me, it comes from for anybody who is going to take up this practice. But we should not be scared of it because, like the author said, that the pain body cannot exist in the light of your presence. Observe the attachment to your pain. Be very alert. Observe the peculiar pleasure you derive from being unhappy. So, what is this peculiar pleasure? It is the familiarity. We know that emotion. So, we are associated with it. The mind does not like change. The mind wants things to be constant always. So that is why it does not want to disidentify from it. Observe the compulsion to talk or think about it. The resistance will cease if you make it conscious. You can then take your attention into the pain body, stay present as the witness, and so initiate its transmutation. So if you scroll down, only, so this para is very important, only you can do this. Nobody can do it for you. But if you are fortunate enough to find someone who is intensely conscious, if you can be with them and join them in the state of presence, that can be helpful and will accelerate things. This way, your own light will quickly grow stronger. When a log that has only just started to burn is placed next to one that is burning fiercely, and after a while they are separated again, the first log will be burning with much greater intensity. After all, it is the same fire. To be such a fire is one of the functions of a spiritual teacher. Some therapists may also be able to fulfill that function, provided that they have gone beyond the level of mind and can create and sustain a state of intense conscious presence while they are working with you. So the author says that you alone have the power to do it. Or else, if you're very fortunate to find someone who is highly conscious, who has a very high level of presence, then when you are with them, when you are connected to them, you will be able to accelerate things. So here I want to ask one question to all of you. uh, do you think you have come across anybody, you know, like the author is giving us about what a spiritual teacher should be? So, have you come across anybody like this who is extremely conscious, who is intensely conscious, whose state of presence is very high? Have you come across anybody like this in your life? You can answer in the chat box. Okay. Can you tell who that is? I am getting yes. Right, right. Very true. Naman Bhai says supreme teacher, which is true. So those of you who practice Raj Yoga meditation, we in the meditation we connect ourselves to the supreme soul, and he has every quality which the author has just mentioned. So when you are in his presence, you can overcome from your pain, you can stay in the presence, and you can become what the author is telling us. Now, the origin of fear, for this, we will start this for tomorrow, right? So, what we will do now is we will discuss some questions based on what we have just learned. So anybody who wish to answer, you can raise your hand and we will unmute you and you can share your views with us. So, okay, so the question has been sent in the chat box, right? So the first question that we have here is the pain body is a key concept in Tolle's philosophy. How do you understand the idea of the pain body, and can you identify its manifestation in your life or in the lives of those around you? Anybody wants to answer this question can raise their hand, or if they want to share anything, they can also raise their hand.
Om Shanti.
Om
Am I
Shanti.
audible? Okay, am I audible, sister?
Yeah, I can hear your voice.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, yeah,
So what I have comprehended till now is pain body is an accumulation of unhealed pain or emotions of the past. It can be related to anything, but we have gathered it from our negative experiences in our lives. I think that's what I have understood from the concept of pain body. And
body.
yes,
Yeah.
and
Please share your.
yes, yes. And the second question is manifestations. So I think manifestations, there are many kind of manifestations which I've seen also, and in the past maybe I would have experienced also. So it's like we have heard about the law of attraction also. So the things which we carry in our mind, the kind of thoughts, feelings, the aura that we gradually we make it, the same kind of things we attract in our lives. So according to me, when I had a negative experience and because of that I formed a negative attitude for some people or maybe generally for people, I at that time I didn't had many good friends or good things going on in my life. So I think that was because of that pain body which I had in my life. Then gradually and fortunately I, of course, I came in contact with meditation, all these positive things that are now an integral part of my life. So I think that attitude shifted and the pain body got healed. And because of that another sort of manifestations, good ones, started coming into my life. So I think this is how I look at this.
Okay, that's wonderful, sister. Thank you for answering. So we have Vipin brother who has raised his hand. I'll unmute him. Okay, you are already unmuted. Brother, you can speak.
Shanti,
Om Shanti.
am I audible?
Yeah.
Okay, from this question, I could understand that our mind believed to be me earlier, which was magnifying some judgments and some pictures. Um, so, so that maybe the pain body, which is not real, and because of that, ends up with sufferings, pains, which I understand the painful body. And when I started observe that the mind making me as I am. So when I started observing, the things are changing, that I constantly be an observer, and this mind, how the mind is playing the part, taking is making thoughts, magnifying and judging without any proof. So in that action, I could able to understand that I am not the mind, the painful body. Once I realize and accept that, the thoughts which create and magnifies us by the mind becomes less, and it started obeying and want to take my instruction to act. This is what I understand.
Okay. Thank you, brother, for sharing your views. Now we can look at the second question. So the second question is, in chapter 2, the author guides us to be the ever alert guardian of our inner space. What does it mean and how can you implement this in your life? Anyone who wants to answer this question?
Om Shanti, am I audible?
Yeah, Om Shanti, you're audible.
Okay, so for me to be a alert guardian of our inner space, so the way it says in the book as well, I think it's to be constantly aware of our thoughts and but not judge them and just observe them from a space of detachment. So it's important to be in the present at that time. So I also look at it because as it says guardian, so treating the mind like a child, and the true self, which is our innate nature, as the guardian. So just watching its thoughts, emotions, feelings pass by, but not resonating or identifying with it or giving our energy to it. So this is what I understood from.
Yeah,
Thank you.
it is, you're right that, yeah, we should treat our mind as a child, right? So when we do that and we take care of it, then we will be able to heal it. So we need to treat it like a child. We need to pay a lot of attention to it. So then the third question that we have is, how do we derive pleasure from being unhappy? How are we attached to our pain? So anybody who wants to answer this question can raise their hand. Okay. Yeah.
Um, yes, so from this, I would say it's because the pain body has taken us over. So it wants more pain and it wants to suffer or inflict more pain. It's actually afraid of the light of our consciousness. So we've started identifying ourselves with it and we start believing that that is our true self. So we are attached because we have the conscious fear of losing our own will or our own identity. And so we create strong resistance towards changing ourselves. And so we are attached to the pain body.
Okay. Thank you, sister.
Thank you.
Yeah, Vipin brother, you can share your answers.
Yeah, from today's class, in the very well was a statement that what is happened is good, and what is going to be happen is much more better, and what was happened earlier, what is happening now is also better. So this statement, I think, if we remember this statement at the time of painful body, it will cure the painful body. These little words, if I remember that thing, then I think that can overcome this unhappiness to a happy pleasure feeling. Whatever happened is for good only.
Agreed. I completely agree with you on this. And one thing that I would suggest everyone to do as an exercise is something that, I had done myself when I started with the spiritual study. Then I used to come across this line that हर बात में कल्याण है, जो कुछ भी होता है अच्छे के लिए होता है. So I used to wonder about certain, incidents about life, what was good in that. So when I sat down with those incidents in meditation, and when I thought about it, I really saw the benefit that was hidden. So, all the papers that come in our lives, it comes to enhance, to make us better. And when there is a small challenge, the profit is also small. When there is a big challenge, the profit is also big. So, this is one exercise I would suggest everyone. Whatever you feel in your life should not have happened, I'll suggest sit with it, face it. Like the author says, that we need to confront it. So face it, and you will be able to see the benefit. You will be able to see the good, and how it has shaped you in becoming a much more stronger person. Okay, so I will unmute Hitesh Bhai.
Yeah, so I absolutely agree with what Vipin Bhai and you said that हर चीज में बोलो कि ड्रामा कल्याणकारी है. Because the thing is that the universe is not our enemy, right? So once I've read a quote which says that lessons in life would be repeated until and unless it is learned. But those things will keep coming again and again in your life, which from which you're not taking a lesson from. There's certain things which comes and go, but I believe that if you are learning a lesson from it, that situation will stop coming. It just comes to uplift you, to make you realize that you have a lot of potential within you, and it doesn't just come to put you down. So if we'll be seeing every situation from that perspective, that it is there to uplift me, I think life would be really beautiful and entertaining as well.
Correct, correct. I completely agree with you on this. Thank you for sharing your answers. Uh, do anybody else want to share your views on what we have studied today? You can raise your hand. Anything that resonated with you, anything that you liked about what the author is saying? Okay, so I guess there is no one. So what we can do is, I'll request Drishti sister from our team to play the music, and we will end today's session with a short guided meditation.